What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bourbon Bullshit Podcast with some good friends, great drinks, and a little bit of BS. So grab a seat, pour up something neat, and welcome to the show. All right. So, guys, welcome to the show. Today's going to be a unique one for all those who are following because it says Bourbon and BS. This is our 420 episode for those looking for the alternative to traditional spirits. So we're going to have a friend, I guess you would call him a connoisseur. And on top of that, he's a fantastic chef, Mikey, all the way from the Carolinas. I don't even know which Carolina it is, but I always feel like I forget. What's going on, Mikey? How are you?
I'm good, man, and it doesn't matter. Either Carolina works.
Did you see that apparently North Carolina, they're hoping to get that old P.D. Pablo song to be the national hip-hop theme song for them?
Yeah, I don't understand why it isn't.
I don't understand why you need it to be official. It's been unofficial since that song came out.
PD's my man, and I'm not even from here.
But it's just a funny thing to say, like, someone brought this to, like, the governing parties and was like, hey guys, I think it's about time we acknowledge that P.D. Pablo is the best thing that ever happened in North Carolina.
Focusing on the real issues, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for North Carolina, real issues. Fuck me. But today, in the spirit of, spirit alternatives, for anyone who was doing dry January, I did feature a bottle, thanks to my lovely fiance, of a product called Nowadays, which is a THC-infused spirit alternative. They actually have a lot of recipes online, and she really loved it. They're building in popularity, and a couple of things that are really good about them is one, you won't get fired for it because it's basically like you can buy it at a store. You don't need to be a patient. You don't need to have a card. You just need to fucking show up and buy it. You can buy it at Total Wine. You can buy it online. They will deliver it to you. So super popular product, and I think we've been seeing a big influx of companies giving people the alternative. So for this 420, for those who may want to try something a little bit different, give it a shot. I actually made a drink using this product. I haven't tried it. This will be the first time trying it in real time. My fiance made her recipes, and they were different. Mine is the Wake Whenever. It's a riff. Yeah, it's a riff on the espresso martini, not espresso for those of you who do not know how to speak. Espresso martini. It has 1.5 ounces of their signature basic Nowadays, 1 ounce of espresso, 1 ounce of oat milk, and a half an ounce of simple syrup and a dash of cinnamon. So, and you strain that into a little like coupe glass or something like that. I didn't have oat milk because I don't have oat milk. So cheers, Mikey. I don't know what you're drinking, but
we're doing, 4 Roses Select Small Batch today in honor of the Bourbon NBS.
Yeah, so one of us is on theme. Actually, we're both on theme, just the opposite theme.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's actually not bad. So obviously I'm hella Hispanic, so the espresso I used was that store-bought pre-made Café Bustelo, the chilled, because it's just easier than me.
Cold brew, yeah.
Well, it's just full straight-up espresso. They just make a big bottle of it and say, put it in your fridge.
Nice.
Yeah. And I
love convenience.
I like my hot espresso every morning, all that. But, sometimes if I'm making a cocktail, yes, this is what I buy it for. Because it's like, oh, yeah, get 2 ounces of coffee. Fuck. I have to make it, wait for it to cool off, because if not, you're going to blow something up or fuck something up. Then make the cocktail. Too impatient for that. Me planning and being patient. So, Mikey, how are you and how's everything been in the Carolinas, and are you looking forward to 420?
I look forward to it less these days than I used to. I'm getting much older, and therefore I'm prioritizing other things than smoking all fucking day, which I used to do. But it's still something that, if I'm free on 420 at 420, I put one in the air for everybody.
It has to be at 4:20 p.m.
No, it's all 420 is all day.
Yeah, but I'm saying for you, like that's the one. Like
that's where I'll try to find some time away from what I'm doing to put something in the air in honor of the holiday.
Oh. But so as you've gotten older, you're just like, I actually have responsibilities, like the old blood rest thing.
You've been to my house a few times when I've done these 420 celebrations. They're not nearly as big as they used to be.
That's fair. That is 100% fair. Back in the day when we were younger, for the record, I was not participating. I was always the drinker. For anyone out there who's like taking notes, it's like, this motherfucker out here. No, I would.
We could have used that nowadays back then, though. That would have been a lot more fun for inclusive purposes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. But nowadays, could have been used back then. Should we make a back then cocktail? We're not doing this. Listen. And I think you and I even joked around about at some point when I said, I have a business plan and I reached out to you. This is actually like Mikey's, professional histories in the culinary world. And there was a time I was tasked with making a business plan for a restaurant / bar. We had an idea. I had a thought, and I told Mikey one of the drinks I wanted to make. And this is like 6 years ago. Was like maybe 4 years ago. It was like a THC-infused cocktail for my new old-fashioned version of the gin and juice. And it was going to be like a tribute to Snoop Dogg. And I was like, this will never happen. And now, fucking everywhere, someone owes me money.
Yeah.
Someone owes me money. I don't know if it's nowadays or somebody, but somebody call me.
Dude, we owe, if we'd only applied ourselves at that time, we were too busy trying to get fucked up. It's cool.
Too busy trying or too busy being fucked up?
Trying and doing, do or do not. There is no try.
I was about to, you picked up on what I was going to say. I was like, you have a poster in the back that says I only have two choices. He's a massive Star Wars fan for those of you who are not watching the actual video of this. So there's a Yoda little quote back there in the corner. And a Bulbasaur light?
Yeah, Sleeping Bulby. He's my favorite. Grass type Pokemon with the grass. I love it all. That's the type of trainer I would be if I was in the Pokemon world too.
This motherfucker's way too literal. Just fucking dug into the persona.
Dude, if this was the Pokemon world, I'd be growing some fire bud right now with an Oddish and a Bulbasaur. That's all I need.
That's all you would want? Those are the two?
Oh, the strains would be incredible.
So since we're on the topic of 420, not necessarily Pokemon, what were the old school traditions, or what traditions did you have and what do you have now? Like, what was like something regardless of what was going on, it was 420. Like, I know some people back in the day would take like, oh, this great video game's coming out, and people would take the day off. What was your tradition?
I don't, thinking back on how we used to celebrate the holiday, I was a lot more rigid for a holiday that was really chill. Mm-hmm. Like I had a schedule. I was like, we get up at this time and it's wake and bake. We find the room in the house that has the worst ventilation and we hotbox it. Like
the worst ventilation.
Yeah, because you got to keep the smoke inside, right?
That's
so,
fair.
the courses would be laid out. I would make THC-infused food all day. We'd put on a marathon of movies, and it was always like bop, 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 bop. You know what I mean? Like, so those traditions, which is really fun, like find a closet somewhere or hot box and see what happens. That's usually the moment of truth. It's like when we start hearing, that's when we're getting into the meat of 420, as you say.
That's funny. How would those days progress? Would you see people like fall off? Because it has to be an all-day event, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. At least, it had to last till at least 4:20 p.m., right? But there were definitely people who stopped way before.
Tell me about a 420 that comes to mind, like beginning to just the highlights.
I think it might be the 420 before I moved, or the one before that. So about 8-9 years ago now.
Okay.
That was when I made the chicken and waffles, the breakfast casserole.
To clarify, all THC infused.
Oh yeah, of course. The only thing we had that didn't have THC in it was water. If I could have figured out a way to do that, I would have done that too. But that was when our bathroom in that house was very small, very poorly ventilated. Had some people pass out, in there that we had to drag out because it was crazy. It was obviously everybody's safe now. Nobody died on my watch, but that was
not
the
kind of life you lead. Everyone's safe around us.
Right? Yeah, no, we keep it safe. Everybody who comes in leaves. That's the main rule. But that was a lot of fun because that was, I think, when we had the most people, so it's always, the more the merrier in those situations. So everyone turned out. I was working 2 jobs at the time, so I had coworkers from both jobs coming over. My roommates were having a great time. I lived with people in the industry. I worked with people in the industry, so they brought their own stuff and had some help cooking, which is also very nice. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Probably about 10 years ago now.
That's that's dope. One of the things I've joked about a couple of times now is that the DARE program lied to me about a lot of things. Or that they said there'd be strangers offering you drugs and trying to peer pressure you, and they would never let you say no. None of y'all ever try to force me. It would just be like, "Hey, G, you want? No, all right, cool." And then from that point on, all of you would just say, "No, G doesn't smoke," and no one would ask me ever again. I'm like, "All right, cool, bet." I'm like, "Oh, no, man, I'm just a drinker." It's like, "I bet." Even new people just moved on.
Yeah, it was always important for us, I think, not to force that on people. Like, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Although, if you wanted to try it, I would never stop you, even if you've never done it before. Which usually,
You would still ask if
420,
people were sure. You would say like,
yeah,
sure, like
and 420 is not the time to try it either. Like that's it's not. It's like Thanksgiving. You don't experiment with new dishes on Thanksgiving. Tried and true. You keep it going, and then we have fun.
that's fair. I think it's also important to highlight you also have your experience. So you know what your limits are. You know what you would recommend. You know where people should fuck around. You know they shouldn't find out. So it's like, hey, it's like typically people come to me about, hey, what drinks do you recommend? Or hey, what bottles do you recommend? I'm just like, I could give you a list depending on the I could go into a whole nerd section of it. So you were definitely that version. So we thank you for that. Not me because I didn't do it, but moving forward. What about this year? Do you got any plans or anything like that?
Dude, 420 falls on Easter. So
Is there a
this year
Jesus train
it's
going around that I don't know about?
no I work I still work in a restaurant and that's one of the busier days. So I'll have to be there on 420 unfortunately. Um so no plans for me as of yet, aside from maybe putting one thing extra in the air when I get home or
Fair.
maybe waking and baking a little harder before I leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to make sure, the families are having good Easter lunches and dinner that day. So that's what I'll be doing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Excuse me. Earlier you mentioned 420 and movies. I thought this was just a funny one to throw. As a guy who never really understood being high, I enjoyed a lot of like 420 or like weed-based movies. Half Baked, How High, like a couple of those. What would you say is your go-to 2 or 3 movies through that day?
I think my top one is How High.
Red
I
Man.
have, yeah, Method Man and Redman. Like Method Man is still like my number 3 favorite rapper of all time. I have the same tattoo he has. I got it on my shoulder that he has on his wrist. Um, so he's always been big for me. The Wu-Tang obviously always
Mhm.
big. But I just thought that movie was really funny, even when you're not high. Just like you mentioned, like if so for somebody who doesn't smoke, that I mean, it's still very good. But I mean, you can't beat Grandma's Boy. I think is another one that when you think of stoner movies, you don't really think of it, but there's a lot of smoking going on in that movie. Um, so
Yeah.
bless you. So I understand. I love that movie. That's another one. Um, I never really got into the Cheech and Chong
Really?
movies. I've seen them, but it's not something that I'm like on 420, like, oh, let's put on Cheech and Chong. I just think that might have been a little bit before my time. But
So
How High, Grandma's Boy,
I'm gonna go through some of the ones that people don't think of. Harold and
yeah,
Kumar Go to White Castle.
Harold and Kumar, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that one, Harold
Because
and Kumar I think, was on in my house more more often when it wasn't 420.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like there are some of these movies that are on this list that even though I know people are getting high the whole time, I don't associate with being like a stoner movie or a pothead movie.
Hmm.
Pineapple Express.
Yep, love that one. That one came out on my birthday,
Oh shit.
so that's one I watch pretty often too. But I love Pineapple Express. That those two guys, Seth Rogen and James Franco, remind me of me and my best friend at the time while we were in the midst of our big 420 phase.
That's funny. I'm looking at some of these and didn't realize there were sequels. So there's one movie called, they made a How High Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And
With
Lil
young
Yachty.
DC Fly.
What?
Isn't young DC Fly in that one?
Yeah. Young DC Fly and
Yeah.
Lil Yachty. Mike Epps.
Yeah.
And
I like
DJ
that one.
Davis.
I liked it.
I'm not saying I disliked it. I didn't know it existed.
Oh yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's same premise, but I guess a little updated.
Obviously, you talk about Grandma's Boy. Dude, Where's My Car?
That's another one. I don't particularly even like that movie, but I can understand why it's a stoner movie.
Yeah. Obviously, the movie Friday has some stoner vibes since they're high the whole fucking time.
Main character's name is Smokey, or one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's funny ones that I did not realize. There's the 420 Massacre, which is a horror movie because we can't just it's called
What?
It's called the 420 Massacre.
Where can I watch that? Is that Tubi? It's got to be on Tubi.
Maybe it is. It's on Tubi. It says watch free on Tubi. It is not rated high, so don't know if you want to ruin your 420 with this. There's a movie called Oliver Stoned.
Oh, okay.
Bong Water, Stoner Express. I know what you're talking about. There's like several other Harold and Kumars. There's, I guess maybe the movie Christmas Party because they're kind of high the whole time. I don't know. And
That's a stretch.
Yeah, a little bit. There's one called High School. Oh, that makes sense. And what? I don't know what that is. We're gonna move. Evil Bong. Bong. It's a 38% Rotten Tomatoes score. also on Tubi. Where all the hits could be found.
All the hits.
That's hitting something for sure. I never understood Tubi until I stopped paying for cable and stopped caring about all those things. And people are like, oh, you can watch that on Tubi. It's like, what the fuck is Tubi? What is that?
Yeah. Tubi scratches like that 90s sitcom itch for me. They have all the good ones. Martin and all that.
Really? Martin's on there?
Yeah. Yeah, Martin, and I think what's the other one that I was about to start watching? Jamie Foxx, the Jamie Foxx show.
Oh, that shit was dope.
Mm-hmm.
That era of movies and music, I know that it's nostalgic, right? Like we think about, oh my God, this movie was so great. And when you go back and watch it, like, what the fuck was this trash?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the nostalgic piece is good, but like Martin, Jamie Foxx, and Fresh Prince are like pure comedy for me.
Fresh Prince, I would agree with Fresh Prince for sure. Martin is good, but I think Fresh Prince stands the test of time better.
Yeah. A lot. You run into a lot of humor that wouldn't necessarily vibe today.
Yeah. That's kind of my point. Like, I understand, like, hey, it's a different generation. I get a different time. I get it. But they're rewatching it and finding myself like, I don't want to laugh at that. Like,
right. That's a fair point.
Where with Fresh Prince, I could laugh through 95% of what they put up there.
No, I'll drink to that. I agree.
Yeah. Martin, I appreciated back in the day. I love Living Single. I love fucking...
Living Single still holds up, by the way.
Yeah. But we didn't mention... Yeah, you're right. I think that's a really fair one. Different World was really good, too. There's some of those comedies that are a little bit higher brow. Like, hey, there's still comedic factors in here, but it's not so slapstick. In Living Color, obviously, was one of those ones that we can't necessarily watch every episode out loud. Like, keep your headphones on if you're
yeah.
I would say some shit. What are your thoughts on that? Like, guys, on just a change of humor, and like, is it still okay to go watch those things and enjoy them, or is that?
I think it is, man. I think
this is a random question.
In Living Colors, in Living Color especially, it's like, I also like to put things into the time frame that they're in, right? Not that it makes it okay.
Yeah.
But it makes it a little bit more relatable to me as to why they would make the joke, which for me, it's like, okay, they're not doing this on purpose. They're trying to make people laugh.
Yeah, they're not being malicious and evil. That's the humor at the time that was acceptable.
And the Wayans family, by and large, are just really funny. So, like,
they are.
Anything that comes from that, like, I just loved In Living Color so much because it was one of those things where it was like, they were roasting people weekly.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it was one of those things where it was like, it was really nice to put in perspective because, people think about that stuff like Jim Carrey as Vanilla Ice or Like the spoof on, actually pretty much Jim Carrey. Like when he did Snow, the Informer.
Inform. Was it?
Like just the stuff that they were doing and the people they were making fun of, and I don't know. I just thought it's still awesome. But yeah, a little bit of problematic if it came out tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. And I think Jim Carrey's talked about that on interviews. He's like, yeah, some of those jokes we wouldn't make them again. Like but what do you want me to do? Like I can't go back.
No, for sure. 100%. I'm just glad they're there, but I don't need to. I don't need to see it in my face these days.
Yeah, like I've seen some stand-up comedies like Def Comedy Jam, and they'll say some words that are not okay, and I'm like, yeah. And I caught myself feeling it's like this is uncomfortable, and it's wild how like your frame of mind changes throughout the years. This is not 420 related. This is part of the bullshit. Yeah,
we're just talking.
You guys tune into Bourbon and Bullshit, and there will be a bourbon cocktail at some point. But like I want to at least show my respects to 420.
Of course.
But yeah, you talked about it a little bit earlier about being a chef and all the things you've done in the culinary world. When I met you, you were working like as a cook at Fridays, was it? Because Bennigan's, you had already left Bennigan's when I met you.
It was Applebee's.
That's what it was. It was Applebee's. I knew it wasn't Fridays. As I said, I was like, it's not Fridays. What was it? It's the place where they give you a pitcher of margaritas and tell you fucking God be with you.
It's the worst.
It is the worst idea. Like that, there's no... Anytime I looked at that pitcher of margaritas that someone ordered, I was like, that came out of a bucket, right? There's no way someone actually really just poured this for you. Like, you're really going to drink this little pitcher of margaritas? Oh, my God, man.
Yeah. Nobody goes to Applebee's for quality, dude.
No, one bit.
It's easy on the wallet. It's you really do get what you pay for, though. You get them dollar margaritas, them motherfuckers are worth $1.
Applebee's is not a sponsor. Never will be. But
it never will be, no. Actually, the Applebee's I work at, I don't think it no longer stands, which I think is good for the world.
Good for the world?
Yeah, I think the world benefits more now that place is not standing.
Anyone who's listening to this episode and not watching this episode, I'm not coughing because I am partaking in 420 events. I've had a lingering cough for 3 weeks. It's part of the reason why I've kind of toned down some of the content. So I apologize, but you guys could either get me at this condition or not at all, so pick one. But when I met you, you were at Applebee's, and what propelled you like through culinary world, and what made you even start Applebee's?
Man,
and then to eventually become a chef featured on a magazine. And all these other things.
No, for sure. I mean, I took the job at Applebee's because I needed a job at the time, and so yeah, that's pretty much it. But it did teach me a lot about. Not that it was my first restaurant job, because I did work at Bennigan's and I did work at Cracker Barrel before that. So I had been in restaurants before. Applebee's was kind of like the first place where I cooked. Well, no, that's not true. I spent some time in Merritt Island, learning the fundamentals, if you will. Learning a little bit on how to, just to make sure how to cook things. Then moved to Applebee's, did that. That was terrible.
That was terrible.
Being open until 2:00 in the morning sucked. I was always home at like 3:30, 4 in the morning. That was not fun. So as soon as I could, I made the jump to California Pizza Kitchen. And the reason why I went there is because they wore chef coats. I was like, hey, I'm on the right track. If they're wearing chef coats, then the next step is like chef shit, right? Little did I know that that's not how it worked, but it still was. I've always wanted to cook. I'm fat, so that was just a self-sufficient thing for me. I was like, oh.
That's just like, I want to be able to eat really good food, and the best way to do that is to learn how to make really good food.
Right. It was the thing that I could wrap my head around creatively. Yeah. Like I can visualize and then execute. Because I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't draw. So making food and seeing applying different techniques to like unconventional food was something that still interests me to this day. It's one of those things where I'm like, let me try to work this technique into a food that's never used this technique before, and then see what I get.
All right. And eventually you ended up working as an executive chef and featured in a magazine, correct?
Yeah, USA Today, or not USA Today, Florida Today,
Mhm.
and Space Coast Dining, Living, something like that. Yeah, they
Both.
featured me in a couple of articles while I was. That restaurant's no longer there, but it was Sublime. It was a
Mhm.
sangria lounge
Mhm.
out there in the east coast of Florida.
It's been a while, man.
A long time.
How's that experience shifting from kind of being told what to do and doing the thing and then having to be in charge of what to do and much more like integral in the execution of everything and getting everything out to being an
Hardest thing I've
executive.
ever done, dude. Like
You paused
it's
way too hard. I was like,
yeah, it's really hard. It's and it's still difficult. Like you can't treat everybody the same way. You
mhm.
can't like you would think that like just because you're a chef means that you can act like Gordon Ramsay. But
Idiot
it's not
sandwich
like
shit.
that. You have to be able to like navigate the way your kitchen works. You have to balance your execution with, to be completely honest, the realistic skill set that you have in your kitchen, right? You can't expect people to do things they can't do. You know,
Mhm.
it's just not magic, right? So it's like you can't. You got to be able to take. Or that's how I would see it. Is tailor kind of like my expectations to what I think your potential could be
Mhm.
and how you can execute the food. So I've always tried to make my food as simple as possible, as straightforward as it can be, for easy reasons.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. And for those listening, yes, this is probably possibly the third chef that we have featured, but your style eventually turned into something fun and creative. So, and 420 friendly. We're gonna take a quick break and dig a little bit more into that and just how that THC into chicken and waffles works. Be right back, guys. Hey guys, here at the show, we ask that you follow 3 simple rules that'll save your night and possibly your dignity. Rule number 1, don't drink and drive. Seriously, Uber exists for a reason. If you wouldn't trust yourself to build IKEA furniture after 3 bourbons, you definitely shouldn't be behind the wheel. Rule number 2, avoid Amazon one-click buy. Drunk you thinks a medieval suit of armor is a great investment. Sober you, not so much. And then try to explain to your credit card company that. And finally, rule number 3, do not text your ex. Look, they had their chance, and you deserve better. No one ever found happiness at the bottom of a 2 a.m. I miss you text. Move on, hydrate, and remember, you're better than that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Text literally anyone else. Text your Uber driver that you missed them, but not your ex. Seriously, all jokes aside, stay safe, do the right thing, and take care of yourselves. All right, guys, now back to the show.
Recording in progress.
All right, guys, and we are back. So, Mikey, we touched a little bit about it earlier with the THC-Infused foods and just that whole fucking process. Can you like walk us through like what would someone need to do if they were doing this
Yeah, I mean it's
legally in states that you could do it? Okay, no one's telling you to break
it's
the law.
of course, it's simple yet labor intensive. Does that make sense? Nothing you have to do involves anything genius or scientific. You just need to spend a lot of time doing it, and it's very meticulous. Because if you get any of these steps wrong, you could end up wasting what could be an expensive amount of weed. So I'm not going to go into ratios or anything like that, but it's the main thing is that THC is soluble in fat. So oil, butter, any type of tallow, any type of fat that you can use to make this would be the best. I have seen people like, of course, you don't have butter in nowadays, right? So I have seen extraction processes that can turn it into a liquid without fat. I just have no clue on how to do that
Yeah,
because every time I've tried it with just water, I've ruined everything.
really?
So I'm not sure how they're doing it. Maybe it has something to do with the conversion into fat and then again into something else. I don't know how that works, but
Okay.
it's dope. I'm glad. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
Maybe because it grows like barley, they use it in the same. It can be used in the same process. I don't know,
like a
but
mash
I
bill.
haven't even. Yeah, I haven't even thought about it. But so the main way I do it is with butter,
Okay.
and so you just throw the desired amount of bud into your oven because heat activates the THC.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we burn it to smoke it, because that's how you get the active ingredient.
Science.
Science. And then so you put that in your oven at the lowest heat possible till your green turns into brown, but not black, right? So once it's at that golden brown and delicious, which was my nickname in college, you can get, that's when you can pull it out, add it to your fat, and slow cook it for a number of hours. There are machines that do this, like unitasker machines that just can, the magic butter, and you just put all the ingredients in it, it'll do it all for you. But I have an oven and I have a crock pot, and that's all I need. So you just set your you put your butter in there with what we call now decarbonated weed, because it's been in the oven. You take that out, put that in there, let it cook for, on low for 6 hours, triple strain it, and then that's it. What the resulting stuff is what you have, and then you use that whenever the fuck you want to use butter.
Right.
So, but it does, it's a lengthy process, like 6 hours, 8 hours from start to finish. You do have to do the double straining process, and there's people who like, similar to the making of beef tallow, they kind of add a little water, and then when they strain it, they throw it back in the slow cooker to like kind of almost clarify it.
Yeah.
So like several different methods after that. But once you do it the first time, you technically have Cannabutter.
That is fucking a lot, painstaking amount of. Well, I guess you don't go through a stick of butter in a day, at least unless you're Paula Deen. So it would probably last a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, goddamn, all that for like one batch of cookies. But I was like, no, I guess it would make sense to save it just like anything else. It's not one use only.
Correct. And then you don't also use, like, when you're using it in the recipe, you still use half of the amount that it calls for. So like, let's say you're making a batch of cookies and it calls for 4 ounces of butter. You would use 2 ounces of Cannabutter and 2 ounces of regular butter.
That's an important thing to know.
Yes,
someone was about to get really, really high or gross.
Yes, and after a certain point, if you put too much in there, you're not gonna get like, there isn't like a tier level of high. Like once you're there, anything more than that, if you consume it, you're just wasting. So just do the half and half method. Eat if you need to feel more, eat another cookie. You know what I mean? Instead of just like having one that's going to get you so trashed that you'll wake up the next day still high and you're like, what the fuck? Anyway,
I got shit to do. I got Easter dinner to cook.
Yeah, that's not like it's ever happened to me, but just a warning.
So, all right, just a warning. So that's what you would warn people of, anyone who's going to try to do that. So I'm assuming part of your process when you continued cooking, at some point you wanted to do both things together. You're 9 to 5 and you're like, I wonder what would happen. Well, 9 to 5 it's restaurants. So it's 5 to 3 a.m. 5 to 5.
Not for a long time, thankfully, but
yeah. But you know what I'm getting at. Like, chef life is probably significantly different than it is for us day walkers. Fucking service industry as a whole.
Agreed.
But what was the point that you decided, fucking, I'm gonna try to do this on my own? Was it because it was a trend, or was it something you on your own? You're like, I like to eat and I like to be high. If I could do that at the same time, like,
yeah, what really made it click for me is, and this about me, I don't eat cake or brownies. Mm-hmm. So when I was I'm sounding old here, but when I was coming up, brownies was like what everybody fucking made. Special brownies, special brownies, special brownies. And I wanted to get into the edible game without consuming something that I fucking hated. So I wanted to make something, and then so I was like, fuck it. If I'm gonna make something, why don't I just make something savory rather than sweet? And so that's where all of my recipes just came from. Like I just wanted to make like a breakfast casserole, use my butter to cook the eggs, make everything the way I normally do, but just throw this butter in with the eggs and
make chicken wings for a friend with scooter sauce.
Like chicken wings for exactly. I don't know who I did that for, but it is, it's what it is. Yeah, or like the chicken and waffles. Like I infuse the maple syrup with my butter. Same with
Oh,
the way
really?
yeah, the maple syrup had butter in it. The can of butter in it, and then um, I used melted butter in the eggs for the binder. So like, so
Oh,
I kept it real light because and it's really difficult to kind of hide the taste of weed. So I tried to put it in things that I thought could either be hidden or what I mix it with can overpower it.
oh,
Does that make sense? So
yeah,
the sweet of the maple syrup
yeah,
could overpower some of that. And then if I use it only in the egg, then the seasoned flour and the seasoned, and the seasoned marinade for the chicken would hide that part of it.
fair.
So
Hiding that
I
flavor.
still haven't been successful though. That the weed taste comes through no matter what, dude. It's gonna be crazy.
I remember seeing one of those Vice videos or whatever where they had 2 Chainz or something, and it was like a THC celebrity chef.
Bro,
He
dope.
and the things they were doing, and 2 Chainz is like, nah, I've smoked weed before, I've had stuff before, and the guy's like, hey, real careful with that drink or real careful with that dip. It was something he was eating, and he's like, hey, how many of those? Like, how often have you been doing it? He's like, oh, well, I've had like, it's like 2 or 3. He's like, you're gonna be incredibly, really, really high. Where the producers of the show, people behind the camera, are like, hey, are you okay? Like, dude, how many? We did the math.
Yeah, bro. And then they tried to move him to like another area to
Yeah.
eat like lobster rolls or something, and he couldn't even do that. He was like, I'm too fucked up.
Yeah. He's like, I bring that up because that's not the only celebrity or whatever that I've seen that's like smoking. Yeah, well, I could do this all day. And then the moment they try, not just brownies or cookies, but something that in their mind couldn't really correlate to being just really special wings, or they couldn't understand, like you said, you're masking the flavor a little bit, but probably more than in brownies. And so they're just, oh my God, they're going like 3 wings deep, and I'm in a deep sunken place.
Yeah, dude. The biggest mistake everybody makes, I still make this mistake, is eating an edible, and then being like 20 minutes later, being like, I don't feel this shit. Let me eat another one. And then I'm like triple fucked up because it all hits me at the same time, and then I'm trashed. You know what I mean? So like that's because we're as smokers, I'm so used to feeling the smoke in my lungs and go down my my
Yeah.
passages and all that, and then I'm automatically high or I feel high. That's what I'm used to. So like when you eat edibles and you're like you got to wait for your digestive system to actually do this part, then you end up trashed because you're like, this ain't shit, and then you eat 4 brownies and you're like, fuck.
Well, I love seeing those memes online. It's like, these edibles ain't shit. And meanwhile, they see like a galaxy and giant spiders. And,
Yeah, you can fucking see sound and shit and hear colors, and you're like,
this is bullshit. I've seen those memes, or I've heard people say that, like, I'm way too high, I want to get off this ride now, and I just simply can't.
you can't do it. Can't fucking do it. I've made that mistake. I think I made that mistake like recently too.
Really?
Yeah, like within the last year or so. Somebody handed me something that I was like, okay, this ain't gonna be it. And then they were like, take half of it, and I took the whole thing. And then I had to do inventory that day at my job. Yeah,
God,
needless to say, we fucked that all the way up.
we fucked that all the way. Those counts ain't been right since.
My boss the next day was like, what the fuck were you doing? I was like, bro, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Like, to this day, that company went out of business because of us.
Nah, he's still on my ass about it. Did you cut anything right? Are you sure?
So in the context of edibles, obviously with like the growing industries and all that stuff, whatever, I'm not to get into that aspect, but you see like gummies out there. You can go to Vegas and like in the airport buy fucking little chunks of candy or chocolate, whatever. How do you find a balance and they tell you the dosage? Do you got it down to a math depending on, or do you have any kind of system where you just kind of, I don't know how high I'm going to be. Let's say you're making a recipe with wings and you say about 2.5 a wing. Like,
right. Yeah, well,
just out of curiosity, like, is there something where, like, because everyone has their own, it might be a really dumb question. Everyone's tolerance is different, but can you at least make an assessment of like this person who's never smoked about one waffle might be enough.
No, for sure. As we do, when I make the food, I season with my soul. So I don't do unless I'm following a recipe. You know what I mean? Like
season with my soul.
So, for example, like the maple
our
syrup
ancestors
that I was
wanted
in,
us to.
yeah, like we were built to. They didn't have measuring cups, so I don't either. Like with the maple syrup stuff, I was like adding and tasting until it felt right for me. And then I'm like, and then I'm the barometer. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, so 2 ounces of this shit is gonna fuck me up. Maybe I don't give G 2 ounces, right? You know what I mean? Maybe we start with a quarter, see where it goes from there. Same. But with the chicken, the only thing I ever advise anybody was like, don't go for like the chicken breast or the thigh. Stick to like the wing or the drum because they're just smaller in size. So it's like you're not eating as much. So it's like just stick to that. Have a wing, have a quarter of a waffle, and then have some syrup, and then we'll see how it works in an hour. And then in an hour, I'll have something else coming up, that you can eat as well. So like the breakfast casserole or whatever, you're gonna have a slice of that or whatever, and then what did I make for dinner? Oh, I think I did the wings for dinner. So it was like we're eating all day. So you don't have to fucking eat half a chicken and 3 waffles to last you the day. Like just we can pace ourselves.
It's fair. I think you hit it on the head. You get to kind of see the whole production process and the impact it had on you. So you can kind of like, that's my measuring stick of how this might impact someone else. That's fair.
If I'm going to like, if I blend, I'm sorry?
It's all for science. Like all the times,
all for science, baby.
All the times that you got high off your own food, it was all science. Like this is research.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm R&D.
I'm writing it down, adding it to my business plans, adding it to my recipes.
He's out there with a whiteboard, like a fucking like Goodwill like, Hunting type shit.
Yeah, Sheldon Cooper type. Like just being stupid and weird.
Last week I had 2 chicken breasts with 1.5 grams. Like just a little red line.
Yeah, but then you're like, how many calories does it have? And I'm like, I don't fucking know, you nerd. Get out of here.
Okay. I can tell you all the other facts about it. I can't tell you how many calories.
Calories. Get the fuck out of here. What did you say? Anyway.
That's fair. So you see, like, do you think that this is continuing to become a trend as people are becoming more accepting of it, or do you think like this is kind of just not an everyone type of thing? Like, what do you think? Like a culinary, like those THC chefs for celebrities, those THC restaurants where they serve certain like courses of meals, which you've seen pop up in some locations. Like, hey, cooking with this, where there's like a specific, this is how much the bill's going to be per plate. We've measured it to science. Those are the motherfuckers that tell you like, hey, this is about the estimated amount of THC in this cake.
No, of course. I mean, once you start to market it and put it out to the public, you got to have all of the information, right? Yeah. So it's like, but what
do you think are the trend?
What's up?
What do you think about the trend, and do you think it'll stay?
I like it. It's always the way I feel about it. It's like whatever makes it more acceptable for me not to just have to do it in my fucking house. You know what I mean? Like the part about weed for me that's kind of always been the main theme is like it's always been such a social thing for me to do. So like I want to be able to do it socially and have fun and enjoy it, and people, I want to have the same kind of pride in doing it that way as I do in my normal job today. And it would be nice, to not have to be like, come to my house and then just do it out of my house for the people who want to show up.
That's fair. And so you think that as this becomes more acceptable, as we keep pushing forward, it's probably going to be a whole different sect of culinary experiences, or do you think you can't necessarily do it on standalones?
No, 100%, man. I would love to, like, and we've talked about this. You've heard me say it. Like, my business plan involves having it done both ways, right? Like having it make it green,
choosing that
type. Yeah, so like you can have this item
make
that's
it
available.
Green. You better market that shit.
I mean, I don't know if I can trademark
what yes, put it as part of the business. What's wrong with you? Make it green as like instead of a hey no mayo or hey vegan, but make it green.
Exactly. You know, like just you can have the item with it or you can have it without it. I want everybody to still be able to come, and then that way you can, like you and I, for example, you can enjoy it the way it's made, and I can enjoy it the green way. You know what I mean? So, like it would be. I feel like it would be a fun thing to do, and I'm excited for the possibilities. I'm still a little disappointed that we're not farther along than we should be. You know, fair. But hopefully I can see it soon in my lifetime. That'd be nice.
That's hopeful, man. I think the idea of having the options we're not being like super realistic right now. Like I don't have a business plan right now in front of me. So I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, if you do that. No. But I think it would be some risks where if it's all being prepared in the same spot, someone could be, but that's the same with any shellfish allergy or anything random like that, just following a whole new set of rules. So outside of that, I think that's a pretty dope option. You're right. Being able to still do the social aspect and hang out with your friends regardless of the type of things you enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Because smoking is still oppressive. Like, let's be real. I'm not trying to turn this back. Like, I'm not trying to still turn this back to like the 50s where you could like, I'm not advocating to smoke on a plane. You know what I mean? Because I still think that's a barbaric practice the same with smoking in a restaurant. I think it's stupid. But whether or not it's weed or tobacco, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. It's still fucking weird. So, like, to be able to enjoy the best aspects of THC, marijuana, weed, whatever, without putting that shit in the air and oppressing people who don't breathe, who shouldn't have to breathe it in, I think adds to the social part. You know, not everybody can enjoy. People don't have to look at that place and be like, oh, they smoke in there, so I'm not going to go, even though their fucking wings are bomb. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to have to make the choice of the environment. Right?
I like that. Because it's true. It could be something that almost segregates people on their own, like the smokers versus non-smokers. The idea of the restaurant will be so much fucking fun too, because I'm thinking about the nights that we've all gone out and how much. I'm not trying to incriminate us. Listen,
you know, we went out and how long how much we spent.
But there were times that we would have to split up for the night, or hey, we're done. Right. We're going to go over here. Some people are going to keep drinking, or we would have people who aren't drinkers who were just smokers, and just I don't know. That's a great point that you bring up, that you kind of segregated a lot of friend dynamics. Good shit. Hopefully it does come up, and hopefully trademark, make it green.
That's why I kind of moved to making food, because I still think that people who don't smoke still like to vibe. Oh, it's 4:20, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
guys, we're gonna take a quick break for Mikey. When we get back, we'll get into a little bit more. All right, we're back.
Sponsor of Bourbon and Bullshit, Big Bang Boom Collective is Orlando's burlesque and cabaret entertainment group, comprised of Midnight Fables Cabaret, Big Bang Boom Cabaret, and Foxy's Den. Follow us on Instagram at Big Bang Boom Collective, or join our VIP email list for info on upcoming shows by visiting www.bigbangboomcollective.com.
Hey guys, we are back. I don't know what happened. Mikey got a really important phone call or something to that effect. But mind your business. This is not what we're here for. So since we're getting towards the tail end of the show, got a couple questions for you. What was the most fun or unique dish you have made, whether it was because it was the dish itself or that experience? Tell us about that.
Dude, I found myself making things that I don't typically make, simply because, as I mentioned earlier, I like to kind of combine techniques you don't typically see. I will tell you that cooking and eating bull penis was probably the biggest challenge I've ever had in my life.
Why? What was that about?
Shut the fuck up. Actually, you still owe me for that, don't you? You got to pay me for this.
No, you're supposed to kick me out of a.
I should kick you off your podcast right now.
Who's gonna press stop? you don't have access to my buttons.
Anywho,
do you want to tell people that story?
Yeah, we could tell people the story. G hates being affectionate towards people, so he liked to tell us that we weren't friends for a long time, and I told him that if you really thought that we weren't friends, I will eat bull dick.
No, it was just eat a dick.
Eat a dick, and then so it turned into bull dick because I guess that's the most edible dick.
That's what the research told the online nerds told us.
Yeah. The internet told us that, but that was like a 3-year bet between when we made it and when it actually happened.
Yeah, it was some shit. I forget the exact specifics of the bet, but yeah, you were supposed to eat a dick, and in return, if you actually accomplished it, you said, "I get to kick you out, Mikey. Mikey, get to kick Arthur out of any social event or gathering, and if he's with his significant other, she stays, whatever, but he has to go home." I'm like, what? He said, because you say we ain't shit anyway, our group of friends or some shit. And I'm like, there's no way this man's gonna eat a dick. This man where'd you order a bull penis from?
I didn't. Mutual friend of ours, Sherry.
Oh, you're right.
She found it.
Our friends are so supportive of the fuckery that we do.
Yeah, they are. It's top tier support.
We have a bunch of nerds that probably the moment you said, if you get a dick, if you get an edible dick, I will eat it. And like 17 people pulled out phones to start Googling it immediately.
She put it in our Facebook group that she found it at a store. And then my best friend Blaine, he just went and got it. He told her to get it and then he would reimburse it because he wants to facilitate me eating penis.
Yep. He's also the guy who ordered massive ostrich eggs.
Yes. That's another exciting experience I've had cooking is I got to make an ostrich egg, I think two different ways. We did like the cloud egg and then I think we did an omelet or something. I don't remember, but that shit was crazy. You had
to saw through that bitch. Remember?
We did.
We had to saw through.
We had to get a jigsaw, to get through it.
Weirdest fucking experience. Why? What were we doing? No, there were years that we should not be alive for half the shit that we've done.
Yeah.
Stupid drinking contests that we've had.
Yeah. The durian. We ate durian too as well. That I didn't like, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff that we did that I really enjoyed, and it really helps to have a support system that like will allow me to do this fuckery.
I think all our friends encourage the fuckery. I don't know why, but I just swear. You made me lose track of all the thoughts.
Well, unique food experiences.
For the people listening at home, what were the ways that you prepared the bull penis? Because I remember there were multiple ways. Because you said to make it less chewy. Yeah. You did all the shit.
The stipulations of it were, of course, I had to be the one to prepare it if I was going to then eat it. So
yeah, you said you wouldn't trust us to cook your bull.
Nope. Because then you would serve me boiled bull dick, and I'd be pissed. I knew it for a fact. I knew it. But anyway, it was.
I was going to put on fried rice.
I slow cooked one in mojo marinade. I cut part of it up, breaded it and deep fried it and tossed it in buffalo sauce. And then the last third of it, because I think all said and done it was like 2 pounds or pound 8, something like that. The last little bit of it, I just threw it on the grill and cooked it with barbecue sauce, like barbecue grilled. It was terrible.
It was. All of it was terrible.
Took me like 4 hours to eat it. Oh, that was another stipulation. I didn't have a time limit because you're not gonna force me to eat this.
And you couldn't share it. That was the other thing.
Yeah. Well, I could. I guess. I mean, there was a lot of it, so we got cool about it. But people, you just couldn't go low.
You couldn't go low enough on the scale where you had like 2 bites of penis. It had to be like there has to be a good amount of dick.
Yeah. It was a good amount of dick.
That's what she said.
Yep. She, he, they all said it.
Whoever said it. All right. Last break, and then we're going to close out with Mikey. We'll be right back, guys. Hey guys, this episode is brought to you in part by Coach John Estrada of Run BMT Training, longtime supporter of the show and an absolute beast on the pavement. And for the record, this man just crushed the LA Marathon. And if you're looking to level up your running game, John's the coach to get you there. That's John with no H. Trust me, he's going to correct you. Whether you're training for your first 5K or tackling a full marathon, Run BMT, the coach is there, and John will have you running smarter, faster, and injury-free. So if you need expert coaching, hit up John at blackmattertraining.com and tell him I sent you. Now, he might not give you a discount, but he will make you a better runner. Again, that's John at blackmattertraining.com. Now let's get back to it. Thanks, guys. I wanted to make sure that you heard that one before we got out.
Nice. Love it.
But
Love it.
so we're going to close out 420 episode. Only Feels Right. I typically ask people their deathbed cocktail or their Mona Lisa and all that. I can still ask you your deathbed cocktail, or I can ask you the 420 question.
Take the 420 question. What are we here for?
That's what I thought. If you could smoke with anyone at all, and for all those at home, for the integrity of the question, not Snoop Dogg, who would it be? You could either smoke it or enjoy a THC-infused meal.
Oh, dude, if I could have a THC-infused meal with anybody. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, honestly, it would be Donald Glover.
Oh, shit. Why?
I think I don't know how to explain it, but the way I think his mind works creatively in a way that I try to think creatively when it comes to food, the way he thinks about music and movies and TV.
Okay.
So like he does things unconventionally. He trusts the process, and in such a way that when he creates something, it's like familiar but also unique. Which is something that always endeared me to him when it came to his music or his movies or even his TV. It's like all like either it's like relatable, but at the same time I've never seen it before, which is weird. And that's some of the things that I want to do that I would just love to pick his brain, because I feel like he would get me to think in a way that would really help me grow as a chef. Does that make sense? Even though he doesn't cook.
No, yeah. It challenges creativity a bit. And
right.
And being able to tap into someone who you respect from a creative standpoint. Like,
but pure smoke, Seth Rogen, dude. Pure smoke.
I like that answer.
If we were just sitting across from each other with blunts and joints and stuff, and we're just talking shit, like I would love to hear what Seth Rogen has to say.
I like that.
On any number of things.
Any idea what the meal would be for you and Donald Glover?
I don't know, man. Like if I was gonna sit down with him and I had to make it, I'm pulling out everything I could. You know, like I'm making him all the best things I can make.
Okay, all right. That's your Mona Lisa. So what's the best thing you would have made for him? Chill night Friday in Atlanta,
dude. Like I can make an infused mussels linguine that I think would be really impressive. Okay. I just toyed around with croissants. You know, because you have to layer the butter in between so like I'm using that. So just having him make like a fucking croissant sandwich or something, you know, like or a burger on brioche on that kind of bread would be nice. Because again, that'd be something creative that he'd be like, oh, I didn't think that you could even infuse something like this.
Let's go.
And so yeah, that's what I would do.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna close out. I know you got some stuff going on. It's Saturday. Gotta go spend some time with our loved ones. But guys, Mikey, where can people find you? Anything you want to promote or talk about?
Man, I want to promote you because you know, like the stuff that like. You know, with everything going on, we don't have to get into that, but with everything going on and the stuff that I see that you're doing in my hometown locally with the local chefs, the local restaurateurs, with all the local things, I think that's fucking awesome. I think you're doing you've been at it for over a year and you're doing a great job. And I feel like I see growth every episode, the way you're interviewing, the stuff I see on all the socials, TikTok, YouTube, all that shit. I'm just a big fan of everything you're doing, and I love you. You're one of my boys, so I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to see what we look like, you know, or what you look like a year from now.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the love, and love you too, even though you say I'm not affectionate. You son of a bitch.
That's the first time he's ever said it. That's the first time he's ever said it. It's a Bourbon and BS first.
You really want? I'm not getting into it, but there's a relationship status on Facebook.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So no.
That's fair.
Chronologically inaccurate.
Chronologically inaccurate. All right. Well, happy 420, guys.
Happy 420, everyone. Make sure
stay safe.
Do the right thing and remember that your friends do love you, even though they tell you some straight lies about you on your own show.
I ate bull dick to prove how much I loved you. How about that?
So, guys, if you like what we're doing or love what we're doing, make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your enemies, share with that celebrity you want to share a meal with. I don't care. Just make sure you share and leave a 5-star review. If you, you should be seeing a Savory brand soon. We've been talking about it, finally locking down some things. Believe it or not, when you're doing this by yourself, it's really fucking exhausting and painstaking. But I appreciate your patience, everyone. And allowing me to be redundant every episode talking about a soft relaunch. All right, guys. Well, take care, stay safe, and see you next week. Hey, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdity Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had. From flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business, I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Burn Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Burn Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.